rocket bits.
A new army from Age of Sigmar has approached. We've got Beasts of Chaos here with tons of new release goodies on the way this weekend. It's wow, this is a very spicy codex. So or Battletune. Can you tell I play 40k too? So lots of releases here. We got a new Beasts of Chaos Start Collecting guide. Actually, not new. It's the very first one. Start Collecting set here. This is $85 for this one. You got Beast of Chaos Warscroll Cards in the new Age of Sigmar 2.0 halvesies. We'll call them halfsies format here. I'm actually going to show you what the old ones used to look like in case you hadn't seen those yet. Those are $15 US. The Beast of Chaos dice as well. We're going to take a look at those. Remember last time we had a little bit of a fail when we looked at the Night Haunt one, so that was a little disappointing, but you know, overall, sometimes yeah, there's defects, and it's all about how Games Workshop handles them, which generally they're pretty good about it. So, like I said, you just give them a call if you have any problems. Beast of Chaos Herdstone. I like this one. This is a saucy mechanic. This is the ghost ship, but a bit cheaper. I think it's only $25. No, $30. Maybe it's not cheaper. I forget how much the ghost ship is. Beast of Chaos Codex or Tome, Battle Tome, for $40 US. So it's a little bit more. I think they used to be, I want to say they were 35 in the past, but this one is 40. I don't know why. I have to double check. Somebody fact check me on all these things. I'm making wild accusations and I haven't even got 5 minutes in my video. And last but certainly not least, the brand new endless spells for the Beasts of Chaos faction, which kind of makes us, well, this seems like we got a trend here, so that makes us wonder, hey, are we going to see more of these in the future for the other magic casters out there in the mortal realms as well? We'll kick it over to the new Start Collecting box for the Beasts of Chaos. This is $85 US, like I indicated. And it's kind of hard to see what all you get in here because they all kind of look the same. You got Ungors, you got Bestigors, you got the Great British Shaman, and of course you got the Sigmar. If you're confused, well, there's some extreme close-ups of them. And then on this side is the actual unit breakdown. 10, 1, 10, 10, and 1. Boom, say that 10 times fast. These models actually have been around for a while. I don't think we reviewed the Sigmar, and these are from like 2003. The Great British Shaman is a little bit, you know, actually I want to take a look at that. He's a little bit newer. He's only $15 retail. And speaking of retail, you get $134.50 approximately in this set here. So you save about 37%, not assuming that you get it cheaper at your you know, friendly local game store or something like that. But either way, it is a good value, as we've seen with the Start Collecting boxes. So there's the 2 sprues for the Sigmar. I think we've reviewed it here on the channel before, but if not, there's a couple of quickie looks at it. This guy, I put one of these together. It goes together actually very well. That's just some of the beginnings of their computer design. This was, oh no, this was done in 2011. I don't think we videoed that one here on the channel because that was definitely getting on to the beginning of our unboxing experience. I think we've only been doing this about 5 or 6 years. Here is the Bestigors. These were out in 2009, but I'm pretty sure maybe it was the Ungors. No, it was not the Ungors, was it? What was it? We used to convert Chaos Warriors 2009. I feel like they redid these. I'm gonna have to double check that. They used to have just the old Beast box, I think was what it was there. So there's all that. So you get 2 identical sprues and a single sprue that contains everything you're going to need to make the Ungors right here, and there's 10 of those, and then all the bases and accoutrements. And this is what I was actually wondering about, was if this guy was on one of those square bases, because I forgot, but it looks like they had started to sculpt those not on the square bases. So we lucked out here. You can put this guy on your normal oval base, and you not have to like chop off the little square base bottom kind of type deal, because there's still a few of the characters that are kind of lingering from the old fantasy era that are like that. So that's definitely good to see there. Next up is the new dynamic Beast of Chaos Herdstone. I fact checked myself. The ghost ship, or the, what is it called, etheric vortex gloomtide shipwreck for the Idoneth Deepkin was $40. So this is actually cheaper, and it's a little bit smaller, but that's okay. I didn't expect it to be in this size box right here, but it is kind of big, and it's got a nice little kind of a scenic base to it too. Now this was made, G-Dub's doing this new thing with the Chinese stuff. They're saying they got the big British flag there, designed in the UK, but very small print, made in China and manufactured by. So there you go. Like I said, I don't know the whole UK laws. Like I know here in the States, at least about 10 years ago or so, when I did the research on it, you could actually get stuff made out of country, bring it to the States, assemble it in the States, and then say, hey, this was made in the US. Now, I'm not sure how that is overseas. I'm not even sure if that's still how it is here in the States, but, you know, keep that in mind. But it is important that everybody says where the stuff's made from. So you get 2 little sprues in here, and they're, you know, this is good quality. Like, we used to be kind of down on the Chinese stuff. It is a little bit chunkier, the plastic, you can kind of tell. But, you know, obviously Games Workshop's saving some money, so they're getting it done over there. Maybe it's not just that. Maybe it's like production, them actually being able to meet all of these, you know, weekly new item releases and stuff. You know, you got to think about that. Since they moved the production to England, maybe they're just doing everything over there. But they have upped their design game, their detail game. I mean, look at the chain on here. You can see there's a very pronounced bone structure on all this stuff around the herdstone. It's very cool and dynamic. It looks like it just kind of goes together, almost like two halves of a potato here, minus the sour cream, but definitely some extra bacon. And it's got some of these stakes that I guess hold it down, because that makes sense. I don't know. Maybe it gets up and walks around. I don't think it does. It actually sets up. I know the rules for it. It actually sets up 12 inches into your territory, which is actually kind of cool. And then it radiates out. And gets bigger and bigger each turn. We'll talk about those rules here in a second. It's actually free, so you kind of have to buy one of these. So that's kind of neat to see in the new army. So I'm really liking the design of this. Now, width-wise, let's take a look here. It's about 4 inches by 3.5, and about 5.5 inches tall. So it's a small potato. It's about a small potato big, and about 3 inches wide on the top there of the horns. Looks very simple to put together. We're not going to actually put this one together right now. We're a little bit behind because of the hurricane, but that's okay, because there's a lot of folks that are very worse off than us, so we can't even be mad about that one there. So there is the Beast of Chaos herdstone. Next up are the Endless Spells, the new Beast of Chaos Endless Spells. We're on a trend. We're on a tear here. These also were made, I believe, overseas. Yep, designed in the UK, made overseas. I think 100%. So these are the full-on sizes for them. So we got 40 mil bases here, and this is that large. What is it? The 120 by 70, I think it is right here. The large oval. These are what Morfang Cavalry are on, and then 40 mil bases, just to give you an idea. And this is going to come into play here because the rules for this bad boy, which are also included in here, so you can see them, but we're going to go over them here in a minute when we talk about the codex. We're not going to do a deep dive into the codex, folks, just because, like I said, hurricane. But we are going to show you some key points that I think are very important, and we'll let you make your mind up from there. So we got the colored plastic, which is really cool because, you know, for new players, it's kind of daunting to see that gray. It is, for the most part, pretty well detailed. You can see it definitely paints up pretty well here, and you can do all the molten lava and stuff down here in the cracks of the Taurus, and the flames are phenomenal. The Ravenwing Direflock looks really good, even though it is a little bit chunkier of a plastic here than, you know, with the Chinese manufacturer and all. But you know, I wouldn't be embarrassed to put that on my tabletop at all, unlike some of the very first stuff we saw out of China there. So these have various points costs, of course. I think the Taurus is 100 points, and we'll definitely talk about that one. This is the, and the spell set is $35 this week for the Beast of Chaos. And now we'll get some of the fun stuff out of the way here. So we've got the Warscroll Cards, the new set coming our way in that new sweet, sweet format, and some new dice. Now the dice themselves have that square edges. We're gonna check those out here in a second. And let's see, these are $20 US. Now I haven't looked in these yet, and we know we had a little bit of a fail on the Night Haunts. So these are completely opaque, kind of a like a brown, like a light brown, almost like a dryad bark, to be quite honest. They feel a little light, but that's okay. It's not, there's nothing bad there. You've got, I guess that's your 1. That's your, wait, what? Oh, okay, I see. So that's the 6. That's the 1, or you could do it vice versa. 2, 3, 5, 4. These are a little hard to read. I mean, if you roll these out and you just kind of glance at them, very hard to read, to be quite honest. I don't know about that. Let's see how they roll. Yeah, they feel a little weighty. They definitely feel a little weighty. I literally can't tell what that what that roll is. I guess you got some 6s, and I guess I 5s. There's a 3. Yeah, this could be problematic. I like the design and the colors, but I just don't like if they had just taken out those rings and had 3 and had 5, that would have made it a lot easier to read just right off the cuff. I feel like this is a little bit more difficult to read here, and I don't know. I mean, they're cool, and it's nice to support and kind of buy all the cool stuff for your faction, but that's a little bit difficult to read right there. Okay, well, so you get 20 of those. They're 16 millimeter dice, so the bigger, chunkier ones right there. But again, very difficult to read in my opinion. Then we've got the Beast of Chaos cards, and it comes with some tokens on the back here. Oh, these are probably summon points because you can summon them actually, and some of this other stuff. Whirlwind of Destruction, Sundering Braids, Bestial Rage. Don't know what all this quite does yet. I mean, obviously command points and Mystic Shield for your casters. And I know there is a new spell tree in here, but like I said, we have not done our deep dive into this. So here's some double-siders that fold out the centerfold cards. Chimera, that's cool. I haven't seen that one in a while. I think that one came out exclusively on Finecast. I don't know if it's available any other way. There's the Sigmar that comes in the Start Collecting box, and so on and so forth. So there's a few of those. How many of these come in here? They don't say. Well, they might say on the wrapper. There's definitely a lot of Battletune. This is a beefier codex, folks. 29 Warscroll units. Okay, so 29 total units, and of course they reuse some stuff. Like you're going to be able to field cool things like some of the stuff from the Tzeentch side, and of course some of the bigger monsters. I've never seen Jabberslife in plastic. Cockatrice, I think that was all Finecast there for a while, and then some of the new Tzeentchier stuff. And then you also get Warscroll cards for the new endless spells, and of course the Herdstone too, and we're going to talk about those here in a second when we jump over to the rulebook. So overall, I like this design, and here's why: because there's no wasted space, and it's very easy. It presents well, and if I didn't drop my Beast Claw Raiders cards on the ground that you're not supposed to know about, I would have showed you these a little bit earlier. So here's the older Warscroll cards, which, you know, I'm hoping GW comes out with a new pack for every faction out there. But, you know, I kind of said when these came out, I was like, man, there's a lot of wasted space. The text is really small. I mean, which one is easier to read in your opinion, right? It's obviously not these ones on the right, although it is great to have something here, and you can put post-its and write things on here and put notes and things, and put your war gear and stuff out that you take if you want. But, you know, other than that, like I said, it's a little tough to kind of keep track of things. I like this size, about half. We saw these first in the Silver Tower box, and these are really, I think this is definitely the way to go. So I'm hoping that GW comes out with these, because remember, and it kind of offers them to everybody that bought them for their army, because our rules really haven't changed for a lot of the other units that they put these cards out for. So I feel like they could do us a solid like they did with 40K, when they're like, hey, you can, you know, trade in your old codex books and get, you know, a refund or something. When 8th edition came out, they did it there for a little, they had a little window. So maybe if they do that for a new run of these cards, that would be a solid to a lot of the folks that already bought the older size ones, because I would much rather have this size than the larger, kind of more buster ones for my Beastclaw Raiders, my Oruks, and my Sylvaneth. And last but certainly not least is the new Battletune itself. Not Codex, I did it, yay. The Beasts of Chaos are coming at us with brand new rules. I mean, they kind of expanded on some of the stuff we saw in the old Grand Alliance Chaos book for these, dare we call them, I don't know what we call them. I don't know what derogatory, but yet very affectionate term we can call them quite yet. So somebody leave me moo cows? The moo cows? I don't know. So here's the contents. It's about a 104-page book. Lots of fluff, but then it jumps into a ton of allegiance abilities. Brand new psychic powers or casting powers. New spells. Obviously, we know there's at least 29 new profiles, because we got 29 Warscroll cards in the Beast of Chaos Warscroll card pack over there. But and lots of cool battalions in here too, and some abilities for them to get keyword of the 4 powers of chaos, like Khorne, Nurgle, Tzeentch, and of course Slaanesh. So lots of cool fluff in here. I'm sure they expanded on a lot of things. Haven't had a chance to read through it quite yet. There's your bestiary. Got lots of pictures of the moo cows, the moo cows. I always love the Doom Bull in the Minotaur box. A little bit of advice on painting your herds right there. And then it jumps into some stuff we really need to talk about. Now, we're just going to do a quick overview. Not going to hit on a lot of the points. I'm sure there's a lot of combos and folks already talking about stuff. And there's people that have had this book for a couple of weeks. But let me tell you this. This book seems at first glance to be very good and very well thought out. We saw it with Deepkin. Deepkin was pretty tight. These guys seem pretty tight. They have a lot of cool abilities here. Like first off, they got the ambush rule. So you go 1 for 1 for every unit you have in your army. You get to put 1 into ambush, and at the end of your first movement phase, you get to bust them out wholly within 6 inches of the edge of the battlefield and more than 9 from enemy units. So, you know, in theory, they could still issue a charge. However, we all know 2d6 at 9 inches, but there's some ways around that. I'll let you all discover all those combos. There's actually a way to get them on the second turn as well. So lots of options in here, and you kind of pick your flavor, like for stuff you get. Now, the Herdstone is really neat. It sets up more than 12 away from enemy territory, which, you know, if you're just doing the standard 4x6, you know, a pitch battle kind of type deal, borrowing a turn for 40k, it's kind of meh. But when you start thinking about, you know, some of the other deployment types in Age of Sigmar right now, that actually really helps out. And the rules that you're about to see, because I'm going to show you that, and it's like the 2 endless spells, or the 3 endless spells, we'll talk about one, is that it bubbles out. It adds to its aura 6 inches every turn. So in theory, if you're 12 inches from their edge, 2 turns you border their territory, 3 turns you're 6 inches into their territory, and if you're playing on a standard table size, 4 turns you're already at where they started, most likely, depending if you're playing a standard battle, where their deployment line was. So it's kind of like that effect with the Deepkin where they do stuff on certain turns and you have abilities and things, and just the fact that it kind of whittles down your opponent's ability because their weapons are all -1 to their rends. So it negates a rend of -1 within 6 inches and stuff like that as it goes. So let's take a look, and actually let's just jump right there right now, because I might have just misspoken. And this is 0 points. You just get it, which is even more hilarious. Okay, so the Lodestone, yep, okay, so you add 6 inches to the range of this ability. Beasts of Chaos are not affected by this ability. So, I was correct. You subtract 1 from save rolls for attacks that target units within 6 inches of this terrain feature. Oh, so it works the other way around. Okay, so that is actually something to talk about too, because these guys have a huge problem with rend. They don't have a whole lot of rend, so it basically gives you rend and it bubbles out a rend. So I had it backwards. I knew I misspoke, but either way, it's still pretty good. And the Locust of Savagery, this one's really neat because you're not going to have to take Battle Shock as long as you're within 6, and then of course turn 2 within 12, turn 3 within 18, so on and so forth, as it adds to it, which I think is really, really neat. It's a neat mechanic. Since we're back here, we might as well do the Wildfire Taurus. Now remember, that is on your 105 base right there, so you're going to cast it, it goes out 12, and then you get to move at 12 because it's predatory. It can move up to 12 and fly. So wholly within 12 of the caster. So you plop it out 12 inches. It's going to do a whole lot of destruction. This thing is way better than Purple Sun. Like, it's 100 points. It's the same points as a Purple Sun, and it's way better, I guess, because you can only take it. I guess for them, I don't know. That's weird. Okay. Well, anyways, so yeah, so this thing's good. Just remember the base is about, 3.5 inches long. So when you're moving it around, you can set it up within 12 and then it can move 12, but it's got about a 3-inch butt to worry about placing when you put it down right there. Now, some other stuff to talk about, like I said, not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. You've got Primordial Call, you got summon points here. That's probably what those tokens were for in the endless or in the Warscroll card box. And then you've got different ways you can actually take your herds. They call them Great Phrase. But you got the All Herd, the Dark Walkers, and the Grave Spawn. We'll flip to that, and there's lots of traits and all sorts of things. We got new spell lores. Here's their special rules and artifacts of power, command traits, command abilities, all sorts of juicy stuff right there. We haven't broken it down yet. Then it goes into Path of Glory stuff's fine. You got War Scrolls, lots of War Scrolls, and then there's Chaos specific War Scrolls: Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, Slaanesh. right there. Give you all sorts of abilities, which I think is pretty neat. So you've got all the flavors of chaos. This is basically Skittles here. And then there's the pitch battle profiles. And as you would expect, the stuff that's battle line kind of makes sense in certain regards. Like if you're Beast of Chaos and your general's a Doom Bull, your Bulgors, you know, your Minotaurs are battle line. And then, you know, if your dude's a Zangor Shaman, then your Zangors are battle line. So it makes, you know, it makes a lot of sense here. I don't feel like anything's over the top or anything's kind of difficult here. Warscroll battalions don't seem overpriced, but like I said, Wildfire Taurus is 100 points right here. Your allies are slaves to darkness, which makes sense, and that's it. So makes sense. I don't see anything out of the ordinary here. Now I'm sure there's a lot more to dig into and a lot of combos and a lot of cool stuff. I really like the ambushing mechanic. There's no named dudes in here, and certain things have a little bit more, like you can heal D3 wounds just because you're a war herd. You can get cool stuff like where was it? The Brave Ambush. Oh, Thunderscorn. So your Shaggoths are basically get a free run in the hero phase, which is really neat to see. No name characters, but you do have a lot of options still. I think there's 5 for the generals. So you've got your Greater Brave Shaman, which comes in the start collecting box along with the Sigmar, of course, so you can theoretically field that. You got your Beast Lord, your Greater Brave Shaman. Wait a minute, where's the rest of the generals? There's more in here, I assure you. The Doom Bull, there should be a Shaggoth. These guys aren't. Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. And who's the other guy? Oh, the Zangor Shami could be your leader as well. So you got big 5 that I noticed in here. I'm pretty sure that's all of them. So overall, I'm pretty excited about this book. I can't wait to see it on the tabletop. Somebody, you know, playing it in more of a competitive nature than some of the stuff we've seen from Games Workshop, because sometimes it's hard to get a good, decent kind of feel for tactics from them, I suppose, when, you know, they do have a little bit of ulterior motive. But overall, I think there's a lot of potential here for these Beasts of Chaos, just like we saw with the Deepkin, just like we saw with the Maggotkin. It's a brave new world now with the nerfing of things, or the FAQ that came out after 2.0 dropped. But overall, I don't think, as long as you stick with one of the newer codexes that came out and wasn't like a set of PDFs off their website or something like that, you're probably gonna do fine with Age of Sigmar. There's a lot of things that are a little bit overpowered, but for the most part, everything kind of plays very well together. This isn't something that's just gonna automatically be good out of the box. You're gonna have to work at it. You're gonna have to do a little bit of tactics. You're gonna have to kind of know when to attack in waves, where your abilities, your auras and things are, and maybe splash in some allies and such. You're gonna have to use magic. So you got a lot of things to keep track of here. Same with Deepkin. Night Haunts are a little bit simpler to play. So if you're looking at any of the 3 most recent releases, I would definitely suggest Night Haunts are probably the easiest, followed by Deepkin, and then, well, probably Beast of Chaos, and then Deepkin. Deepkin have a lot going on to keep track of every turn and such. So that's kind of how I would personally rate the last 3 releases of Age of Sigmar there. So that's it. We got through it. Hopefully we kept it short and sweet. Thanks for watching. If you like more features on Age of Sigmar, new releases, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications to be the first to like and comment on all our videos.
Spiking bits.